everyone. So today I'm going to tell you how how it's like for me being in my early 20s. So first of all, I joined my college when I was 20. So it was my first time being away from my hometown, away from my parents, all alone. So I was actually very nervous and very scared, to be honest, because I've never lived alone at all. But then I thought, okay, I have to come, I have to study because, ultimately education is really important. So I was like, okay, I have to do this, I have to learn. This is a part of adulting. So I did that, and then, I learned a lot of things, like, for example, managing my own life. Like, I feel like I have become more disciplined. I wouldn't say I'm 100% a disciplined person, but I've become more disciplined because now I know that I have to wake up by myself. There is no one to wake me up and tell me, okay, you're getting late for this, you're getting late for this, or there's no one to tell me, okay, you have to study now, the deadline is coming, you have to do your projects, this, that. So I have to do everything on my own. I have to manage my own, studies, my own life. Also, I feel like I have made so many new friends who are so kind and generous and nice and who are always with me. So I go out with them, I enjoy with them. So I'm loving that thing, where I'm going out with my friends every month and we're trying new places, we're eating, we're hanging out, we're talking, we're having fun. So that part I really like it because it gives me, I feel fun, where at least you have your friends, right, in a place where you're completely alone and you don't have your parents. So being there and enjoying your life with your friends and hanging out with them, it's like my best therapy, I can say. It's like a therapy for me. And also I learned how to deal with people. Like, I met so many different kinds of people, so I know how to deal with them. And also I feel like I've become so alert. Like, I'm alert of my surroundings, like what's happening, and I always make sure I'm safe, and I'm never in a place where I feel unsafe, and where I always feel secure, I make sure I'm there. So yeah, I have been very very alert about my safety. I make sure I don't disclose things openly. I make sure I look around and then trust people. After a certain time, I make sure I don't trust people easily at all, because I am very sensitive and I tend to trust people easily. So I've learned all that. And also I have learned and I've discovered this one thing, that it's very hard when we were at, like, in our hometown, or when we were with our parents. So basically our basic needs were being managed by them, but here you have to manage your own meals. I make sure that I buy my snacks, my vegetables, my fruits on my own, you know and I make sure I get the good prices as well. Now I have to do a lot of budgeting, right? And I also make sure I eat timely, I eat my meals timely, and I make sure I eat all my medicines, and I also make sure that I don't get sick. I also, manage my laundry. I make sure my things are arranged properly. So, all the small, small things that were basically handled by our parents are now completely on us, and we have to handle it, right? So it's a first step of adulting, I'll say. And then I have also learned budgeting. So before, I would not think about budgeting much, but once I have started living alone outside, I have been thinking about budgeting a lot. I make sure that I have kept some money for savings, and I also make sure that the money stays till the end, because initially I was very bad at it. Okay, I used to spend my money, like, during the half of the month, and like for 15 days I would struggle. So I make sure that now I have money till the end of the month, and I make sure that I sustain myself and I don't need to ask my parents for extra money. So I've learned budgeting, and I've also become really financially aware, I think, because I want to learn new skills, new things about finances, because I feel every female should manage their own finances, and know at least the basic stuffs, and should not depend on anyone to manage their finances. So I want to learn new skills and everything, and know more about stocks and bonds and everything. And yeah, I think my 20s is like a new chapter for me, where I'm learning, where I'm learning everything slowly about budgeting and all. And I also traveled with my sister. Like, we both of us traveled, So yeah, I learned there how to, prepare an itinerary for all the travel, and how to deal with people, how to not get scammed, how to travel alone in a different, completely new, different city. So yeah, how to book these hotels and everything. So yeah, it was a fun learning, I would say. We got scammed and many things happened, but yeah, it was a fun learning in the end, and I think I'll take all those mistakes and do better again when I'll book another trip. So yeah, I think, and also I had gotten sick. I felt so terrible when I was like sick alone, because there was no one. I could tell I was sick. Like my parents, when I used to get sick at home, my mom and dad, they used to be like so worried about me, and then they used to constantly check on me, but I had no one there to check on me. So I had to buy my own fruits, medicines. I had to take care of myself. So yeah, that was a good part because that helped me in learning. I learned many things. I learned like how to take care of myself, and I learned how not to depend on anyone. It's really important we take care of ourselves. So yeah, that was a little bit hard part because I was never sick alone. So yeah, sometimes I would be so sick I could not get out of my bed. But that on that days as well, I tried to get out. I tried to, at least eat something. I tried to order like fruits, apples, all that. So yeah, I think I learned many things in my early 20s, and I hope that I continue to learn more. So yeah, that's the part 2 of my diary. Okay, bye bye.